are reminders of what's going on with us. Okay, so again, welcome to the Church of Jesus Christ Tuesday Nighters. I think that our locale is online, and I think the best way to identify us is the Tuesday Nighters, as I've heard a few of you say. So I really like that moniker, and I think we'll stay with that. Our theme has been, for the last 3 weeks, stop, collaborate, and listen. And this is a phrase that I believe gives the answer to how such a different people, and by the way, no matter what group you're in, whether family, whether workplace, whether community, we are all different people, and certainly different thinking people. Even your own bloodline. We had very tough ending to our last, probably 2 of our last 3 weeks in some funerals and being with the families. And even in these times that drive us together, just kind of listening to some of the interaction, you can hear different thoughts, different mindsets, different perspectives. As I've planned for these 2 different funerals with the families, it's amazing the different angles that everybody comes from and goes to. So we understand that with no judgment. We understand that different thinking people think differently, and so the results are different comments and different opinions. So having said that, the theme is our strategy: stop, collaborate, and listen. Comes from a song, and we're not going to spend much time talking about that. I gave honor to the where this derived from plenty of times in the first 3. So in our first week, we identified unity as our stated goal, believing it was attainable but difficult. I think everybody on the call has continued to, or on the class has continued to recognize the challenge. But I also believe all of us are hopeful that we can reach this status of unity. But I also believe that you all agree that it can't happen without God's intervention. The times that we have enjoyed unity, but for a moment, and that moment can be a day, that moment can be a meeting, that moment can be a week. But most, if not all, have not said that they've had much more unity sustained than that time period. So for us to truly maintain this expected unity is going to require divine intervention. Without it, we can continue to confirm from all our inner workings that unity is, if not impossible, nearly impossible. I'm a believer that it's impossible, and certainly impossible without God. The only possibility is God's intervention. Our second week, we identified multiple ways to measure disunity. And through all of our relationships, whether very, very small and focused or on large scale, as an example, the country, we find that disunity is the defining piece to our relationships. So mankind naturally, just using their eyeball, naturally sees the differences, if you will, versus our similarities. We quickly identify things that are different about one another rather than searching for similarities. It's just who we are. Yes, unity is experienced, but I think, again, we've not found it in any significant long-term effect. There's simply too many variables to work against unity. And so it's not a fatalistic attitude. It's just a reality check that it seems that all of these variables pull apart rather than bring together. And so it's really a challenge. And yet we're not dismayed, and we're not leaving our theme. We're staying with our theme that unity is attainable. Last week, our third week, we traveled even deeper into the details why we fail so consistently. And inconsistency, by the way, is not a virtue in this particular subject. But as we attempt to truly establish a genuine unity, it just seems impossible. Every time we try, we pull apart. And we've even identified our most beautiful relationships that begin in love, begin by selection, by choice, by opting to be with certain people. even multiple multiple levels of disunity occur when unity is the goal. So we just find it very difficult. And the reason why is man by nature, the natural man is an enemy to God. By nature, man drives towards self-preservation, self-fulfillment, and win at all costs. Me win, not we win. Me win. That's just who the natural man is, who our natures drive us towards. Maybe put even more simply, man is a selfish creature. So winning is not just winning, but winning over others, so that not just winning, but we've also focused on losing. Those around us would lose. I remember when I first came into a role up in Kentucky, in a management role, one of the first interactions I had with someone is he was the alpha male, obviously, of this sales group of 40 people that I was managing. He quickly established himself as the leader. And we were playing sports one day, and he zeroed in on me. And I took him aside afterwards and I said, wow, you really wanted to make a point, didn't you? He said, well, I've been the leader here and I didn't want you to misunderstand who's in charge. He was not in charge. He was just one of the top sales guys. And he wanted me to know that was his territory. Win at all costs. Create the opportunity for him to win, which more importantly, especially in this perfect example, created the opportunity for me to lose. It's who we are. So when we accept these are natural weaknesses, this provides us the opportunity, this open-mindedness provides us the opportunity to at least begin walking towards unity, and maybe even, if we can maintain that, a sustainable unity. That's where we've been for 3 weeks. So now let's move into week 4. The natural man might best be compared to a violent tornado. He spins as a harmful vortex filled with self, endangering everything in its path. This swirl that I'm creating, at least mentally in your mind, sucks everything that the tornado itself perceives as value into itself, trying to attain, while scattering anything of real value, like spirituality, away from itself. Because the natural man is the enemy to God. And so there is no desire to attain what's of true value, but instead these things that we value that are our facade pieces and parts. So it's not surprising that unity is most often fleeting, just a dream. So what do you do with this out of control whirlwind? More definitively, whirlwind of destruction for all in its path, including itself. What do you do with it? It's fixed on unhealthy self-love. Self-love is a very valuable part of who we are, if it's healthy. But this tornado that I'm describing is fixed on unhealthy self-love. Too much love wants everything. How can all of this be undone? Our fix is clear that at least what I've determined: stop, collaborate, listen. And it seems the least vital step might surprisingly to all of you be the most important, at least in establishing man's problematic task of unity, at least to get this started. So that's where we're going tonight. So before other steps taken, we have to first stop. Just the whole phrase, the whole meaning, the whole purpose, stop addresses our need to change. Stop. Stop is a confession for each of us that we're weak, that all are weak, that we're wrong, that all are wrong, that we fail, that all fail. All have come short of the glory of God. All. So the first step is stop. Just stop. And in the quiet choice that we've made to pause, use that silence, that peace, for empowerment. And it begins with considering your own needs. and all needs around you, but at least your own needs, begins with a fair and honest assessment of man. It's not a judgment. It's just really complying to the word. We have been identified as failing. We have been identified all as coming short. We have been identified to our core, to how we're created, as the enemy to God, to spirituality. So we come to this conclusion: man is broken. That means we are broken. That means I am broken. And when we come to that final conclusion and understanding, truly come to that conclusion, then we're ready to start healing, start coming together, start unifying. So stop moving, stop doing, stop failing, just stop. Consider the requirements of going forward. The example I use tonight is every sports team, or at least as many as I could think of tonight, every sports team begins every competition with a valuable gift or gifts: timeouts. They're allotted a certain amount of timeouts because timeouts acknowledge the purpose of the pause. Every team needs to periodically stop, reevaluate. Each team has to utilize this pause, this very valuable pause, to refresh. I can think of timeouts in every sport. And when it is, the first thing you do is you turn around and you ask for water. Water, we need water. We need to hydrate. We need to stop. Then we calm everybody down in our huddle. Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is, everyone stops and pauses. If you're in a workplace, you stop. They call a timeout and it's a retreat or a conference. Everyone comes together, stopping the momentum so that they can regroup. Utilize the pause for the greater cause. Regroup, huddle together, start again with a renewed purpose. So, if it would happen in sports on a team, if it would happen in the workplace on a team, God's team must certainly leverage the timeout, the pause, so that we can consider where we are and what we need to do. Man is broken. What did God do? God sent his son to fix our brokenness. We were broken and we remain broken. And we on our own are unable to fix our weaknesses, man's weaknesses. When we depend on ourselves, me plus thee equals we. When we depend on ourselves, we fail. Not conceptually, or not just conceptually, literally. So literally, stop. Literally bring God in. So it's no longer me, thee equals we. It's me, thee, and he, to redefine what we is. The missing piece is the most critical piece. It's God. So stop. Stop moving. Stop doing. Stop failing. Just stop. Watch this. This is a basic fact. This is to the effect of what that pause, that timeout, that conference, that complete stop will do. Pausing improves our ability to clearly identify the emotion being felt in the moment versus repressing or ignoring them. Hope you understand that. When you're in the swirl, the tornado, when you're in the swirl, your mind's a jumble. You can't always clearly assess or decide or even go forward. Pausing improves our ability to do so. By repressing those emotions, we cause, hear this now, we cause emotional disharmony. We cause physical discomfort. heart races, whatever it might be. We feel tense, our stomach hurts, we get a headache, and mental distress. The worry is overcoming us. The fear of what might happen, all of that jumble. When we repress our emotions, we don't face what's going on, and we just try to keep moving forward. It causes complete disunity. We've all experienced that. It's in the pause that we can reunite with ourselves. Unity, self-unity, unity, finding our spiritual core. Can't do it if we're swirling. Can't do it if we're spinning. And if I asked each of you what life is like, at some point spinning would come into your definition almost without question. Tonight I joined after the conversation had started. One of the first things I heard is pray for Logan. He has two finals tomorrow. He's in the spin. He's in the spin. Stop. Pause. I hope that's what he's getting out of tonight, in fact. So again, basic fact, pausing quells the swirl. Remember what I described the tornado to be the swirl of self. Pulling everything that we think is important to ourselves, pushing off everything that we don't value. So we do that we might identify the personal experience we're going through, so that we're present with our situation, our circumstance. That's a critical factor to healthy emotional intelligence. Just consider the stress. Just consider the pressure. Just consider the frantic spirit that's caused by chaos. And that's what this swirl is defining. So stop is a great decision, emotionally, physically, mentally, and of course, and most importantly, spiritually. Stop. Step one, stop. So maybe there's a question that's kind of lingering. Do we have any examples of father and or son employing or endorsing the tactic to stop? Says you to me. If you can show me one time, show me a couple times where the father or the son made a conscientious decision to stop, maybe I'll at least consider the theory, and maybe I'll embrace this first step of this seminar. Says me to you, I'm so glad you asked. God himself understands the importance of stop. Psalms 37:7 says this, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. What God is doing is he's promising that he will provide our safe place. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for his answer, for his understanding, for his fix. And he stands ready to receive us if we will just knock. God understands the importance of the stop again. He maketh the storm a calm. Psalms 107:29. You are the storm that I defined. He makes you calm. God awaits our pleas to him. Please, Lord, intercede. Please help me. Please help me with this test. Please help me with this interview. Please help me in my life. Please help me with my children. Please help me in my relationship. Please intercede. And when he hears that, he knows he's now invited in to calm our storm. Jesus understands the importance of stop. Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place and rest a while. I want to point something out to you. He doesn't say go and separate. He says come. So I believe he waits for you in that desert place. He's already there. So I think he invites us to join him in his wise decision to stop. Come. You yourself to this place that I'm at in this desert, quiet atmosphere, and rest with me. He arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. We all know this story. When Peter walked on the water, we know this story. We know this story when the storm was raging. We know this story. He didn't just lead in silent example. And he did that many times in many places. But in this case, he didn't just lead in silent example. He endorsed it verbally. Peace, be still. And he calmed the storm. Remember what I've told you over and over. You are the storm. You live in the storm. Your life may be a swirl. Peace, be still, says the Savior. He understands the importance of stop. God says this, be still and know that I am God. So this final scripture, I want you to understand that God was teaching the value of stop. Be still, the word says. Calm your spirit. Find peace in Jesus Christ. Find comfort. Find understanding in the pause, in the stop. Be still. Once you have that stillness, he says this, know there is such peace in knowledge. There is such peace in understanding. When you know, as we learned last study that we did, when you know something, your faith can rest and replenish. If you have knowledge about something, it no longer requires faith. It's knowledge. Be still. Know. And what does he want you to know? He wants you to know that I am. Who shall I say told me this? Tell them I am. I am God is what he says. But I am omnipotent. I am omniscient. And the way I've always thought of omniscient is omniscience. All science. I have all understanding. I am omnipresent. God is all powerful, all knowing, all present. He is everywhere. He is everything. He is certainly everything to us. So use the stop to find your spiritual bearings. Be still. Know I am. Okay, my personal experience. I have high blood pressure. That means every doctor I go to, if I go to urgent care, if I go to my doctor, if I go to any doctor, when they see my chart and see I have high blood pressure, especially, I will start by checking my blood pressure every time. And every time it's extraordinarily high the first time they check. Somewhere like 155 over 100-ish, somewhere in that area. Every time. I had to go and get a physical, just a physical, and it was a light physical for coaching. Went into this hospital that the school endorses, went in, and I told them, I'm going to be so high when you first check my blood pressure. Well, let's do it right now. And they did. I think it was 160. And I said, that's not a good reading. Just give me 10 minutes or so. And if you leave me for 2 minutes, it'll be even better. So at my own doctor, at Tony Karam's place, the first, I think it's a nurse, maybe a practitioner, comes in, checks my blood pressure. It's always high. Same thing at this hospital. It happened. Then when Tony comes in, or when this young person came back, it was a doctor. When he came back to check me a second time, I asked him came back to do the physical. I said, will you check my blood pressure again? Because I've spent the last 2 minutes just sitting, deep breathing, trying to calm my spirit, put my hands down, rest completely, close my eyes, and I just breathe. They check again. I have high blood pressure, so it's back to probably 130 over. My norm is like 130 over 80. It's always back there. This is consistent every time. I'm nervous when I go in. I think they call it white coat syndrome. I'm nervous when I go into a doctor's office, but when I stop and breathe and calm, it's back down. So I've discovered for a long time now the need and the reward of the stop. So step one in our theme, stop, collaborate, and listen, is to stop. Stop the momentum. Stop the failing process called our lives. Stop doing what we're doing because whatever we're doing isn't working. So stop. Step one demands stop. Now, if you follow my lead in the doctor's office, in the stop, take some deep breaths. Literally, physically, maybe symbolically, spiritually. And once you're given to the calm that you find in that pause, you can start looking forward to step two, collaborate. So we're going to open for sharing.